This was the tomb of Tulak Hord, known as the greatest lightsaber duelist of all of the Sith Lords. His skill was considered remarkable even in his time, when many true lightsaber masters lived. Supposedly he created a holocron to teach his technique to other Sith. The holocron would have been laid to rest in his tomb. Unfortunately, Tulak Hord's tomb was among the first penetrated by the grave robbers of the Sith Order. If the holocron had survived, I doubt anyone living would know of its location. This was a quote by Darth Treya to Revan. The galaxy has long forgotten the truth of its darkest legend, buried beneath millennia of dust and denial. Yet in the annals of the Sith, no warrior stands taller than Tulak Hord. His name was whispered with fear even among his own kind, his blade an extension of death itself. Among the ancient Sith, known for their mastery of the lightsaber, their unrelenting powers in the dark side, Tulak Hord was singular, a duelist without equal, an executioner with a blade. They say he carved a bloody path across the stars, subjugating entire worlds to the cause of the Sith, doing so with the ferocity of his combat and the cunning of his mind. The Sith in their pride called him a god of war. His enemies, Jedi and Sith alike, never dared meet him on equal footing. No one who faced his blade lived to speak of it, and even among his followers, his mastery was unquestioned. His form was an enigma, a deadly synthesis of precision, power, and unpredictability lost to time. Tulak Hord's technique was not simply the art of war, it was war. But such power could not be allowed to endure. After the Great Hyperspace War, when the Jedi invaded Korriban, the Purge was absolute. The Jedi sought not only to extinguish the Sith, but to annihilate their legacy. Tulak Hord's holocron, containing the secrets of his near unstoppable lightsaber form, was a prize too dangerous to leave to chance or fate. The Jedi feared his knowledge. Left unchecked could give rise to another champion of the dark side of equal or maybe even greater power, one that would tip the balance of the galaxy forever. And so the holocron of Tulak Hord vanished, likely destroyed in the fervor of the Jedi Crusade, or perhaps it was sealed away within a Jedi vault so ancient that even its location has been lost to history. The Jedi intent though was clear, to erase Tulak Hord's teachings from existence, to deny the Sith their most lethal of weapon. But history is not so easily erased. The shadows of Tulak Hord and his legend remained, whispered in forgotten corners of the galaxy. There are those who believe that his holocron may have survived, hidden somewhere, waiting to be uncovered by one bold or foolish enough to seek it. And if the holocron is found, the secrets reshape the galaxy, for the power of Tulak Hord could rise again. The fallout of the Great Hyperspace War was for the Sith a catastrophic and a deliberate end to centuries of knowledge. They had hoarded, used darkside experimentation, and the pursuit of relentless power. This was all lost in the chaos that followed in the aftermath. What the Jedi Order could not purge and destroy outright from the world, they plundered, their fleets descending upon the worlds of the Sith. Like grave robbers, they dug through the sands of Korriban, Ziost, and other sacred sites, stripping them of holocrons, artifacts, weapons, writings, until what remained was either too trivial to bother, or too well hidden to be discovered. Among these treasures of knowledge was the holocron of Tulak Hord, one of the most valuable and dangerous relics of the Sith Empire. This holocron, a repository of Hord's insights into the dark side, would have been the key to understanding what little we know about him. All we know about is the basics of what is in the holocron. It seemed to have contained not only his peerless combat technique, but also some mention of his mastery of Sith sorcery, as well as even battle meditation, ancient magics, and rituals that allowed him to grow in lightsaber combat. Rituals specifically tailored for that purpose and that end goal. The Jedi, however, recognized this power and ensured that it would never fall into the Sith hands, whether destroying it or sealing it away forever. This vanished with much of his legacy. What we know of him now is mere shadow, pieced together from scattered mentions in surviving texts, or even just myth. Out of universe, I personally enjoy the idea that this event, the Jedi's systematic eradication of Sith artifacts, could explain why we know so little about Tulak Hord. I think it adds an element of mystery and tragedy to his story, reinforcing the idea that he was a figure of immense power and significance whose legend has almost been completely erased. In reality, his role in Knights of the Old Republic is fairly minor, with most of what we know about him emerging long after his death. His mentions in-game are primarily to establish him as a powerful Sith Lord of the past, but the absence of details makes him an excellent candidate for stories of lost knowledge and forgotten greatness. While it is likely that Tulak Hord possessed a wealth of knowledge on Sith alchemy, dark side sorcery, and the art of war, what his Holocron was most renowned for was what made Tulak Hord legendary: his skill and mastery of lightsaber combat. In his time, Tulak Hord stood as the undisputed Dark Lord through being a warrior. His blade carved his supremacy. It is said that no one was ever a true rival to him whatsoever. His dominance extended far beyond his initial victories as one of the exiled Dark Jedi. Tulak Hord reigned for centuries through combat, consolidating power and advancing teachings in ways that echoed across millennia. But what made him remarkable was not simply his mastery of the blade, but the fact that he had discovered or created something that made him untouchable in lightsaber combat. We believe that this could have been some sort of ritual, but others state it to be a technique, not just skill alone. A strange phenomenon. To face Tulak Hord in battle was to face death. No challenger, no matter how strong, cunning, or legendary, would ever leave the dueling arena alive when they faced Tulak Hord. There had to be something else going on here, something supernatural that has been lost to time, destroyed with his own Holocron, something that Tulak Hord found necessary to pass on, something that the Jedi deemed as paramount that never be passed on. Even more shocking than his supremacy, however, was his willingness to share that knowledge. In an era of the Sith known for their selfishness, their treachery, and obsession with power alone, Tulak Hord broke the mold at the end of his life. He did not hoard his secrets like so many other Sith before. Instead, he wanted to pass on his techniques to the next generation, ensuring that his discoveries of rituals would endure. Whether this was something born of arrogance, a desire for legacy, or some other motivation remains completely unclear. But what is clear is that his Holocron was more than a trophy. It was a treasure trove of knowledge meant to transform the future of the Sith. Perhaps he envisioned an empire of warriors as skilled as he was, or perhaps he sought to create a successor who could rival even his unparalleled powers. Whatever the reason, his efforts were thwarted by the Jedi's destruction of his Holocron, leaving us with little more than speculation about his true nature and what he discovered in his new techniques. Imagine, if you will, a fraction of his blade work, a fragment of his techniques recreated and passed down to future Sith successfully. Such power, even diluted through ages, would have been devastating. The Jedi, for all of their faults, understood this. They recognized the unparalleled threat that Tulak Hord's knowledge posed to a fragile galaxy. The Holocron was not just a repository of Sith knowledge, it was a weapon capable of turning any competent Sith into an unstoppable force, one that could carve through ranks of Jedi with the same ruthless precision of Tulak Hord. Had the Holocron survived intact, had the techniques it held been passed down unbroken, the Jedi would most certainly have been handily destroyed. The wisdom of the Jedi's pursuit of the Sith after the Great Hyperspace War becomes undeniable when viewed through this lens, for while their methods may seem excessive to some, the aim is clear: to eradicate not just the Sith, but the very knowledge of their power, and those that crave it. They understood that the old power of Korriban, the legacy of Tulak Hord, and others like him would be allowed to flourish, that it would become unstoppable just as Tulak's blade had become. The Sith, armed with these techniques, would have burned the galaxy to ash, rebuilt it in their image. The Jedi's crusade was a war against the future of the Sith as much as it was a war against their present. They sought to ensure that the terrifying legacy of Tulak Hord would never rise again. And yet, in their fervor to destroy the Sith, they left behind echoes, whispers of power, and legends that refuse to die. Those that know the name Tulak Hord usher it in hushed tones, as though fearing his specter may arise from the sands of Korriban to reclaim what he has lost. Perhaps that fear is not misplaced, for history has taught us that power, once unleashed, cannot ever truly be contained. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Tulak Hord's Holocron? And as a fascinating what-if scenario, what do you think would have happened if the Sith had reclaimed this Holocron? Were there some strange esoteric techniques that would have led to the supremacy of the Sith Order? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the archives today, and as always, may the Force be with you.